Good evening and welcome to the DC Public Schools Back to School Info Session. Before we get started, I'm going to turn it to my colleague Claudette to share some information on how to view tonight's session in Spanish.
ASL and Spanish interpretation is available for this session. Interpretación del lenguaje de signos americano y en español están disponibles para esta sesión. Select the globe icon on the menu. Seleccione el icono del globo en el menú. Select the language you want to hear the meeting. Seleccione el idioma en el que desea escuchar la reunión. Interpretation services can only be accessed if joining via a computer or using the Zoom app. Solo se puede acceder a los servicios de interpretación si se accede a través de una laptop o una computadora mediante la aplicación de Zoom.
Thank you, Claudette. We are so excited that you joined us this evening to hear about some important updates for the coming school year. Before I turn it to our Chancellor, I wanted to share a few housekeeping notes. So we're hosting a session on Zoom webinar. If we reach capacity, we will be streaming live on YouTube, so folks will be able to join there as well. We'll have some of our DCPS leaders sharing content updates, and then we'll pause for a live panel Q&A. We are monitoring the Q&A chat feature in this session, so please feel free to share your questions. We have a number of folks on the back end who are responding to your questions in real time. We'll do our very best to get to as many as possible, but please know that we may not be able to answer every single question tonight. So without further ado, I will turn it to our Chancellor, Louis Ferebee, to welcome you and share about what we'll be discussing tonight.
Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate you giving the introduction for this evening. I am Louis Ferebee, Chancellor for DC Public Schools, and really thrilled that you decided to join us this evening. Before we get into the updates from the DCPS leadership team, I do want to take a moment to reflect on the amazing summer we've had. We have several highlights I do want to call out as we think about what's happened over the summer. We have had an impressive amount of engagement. We've had over 5,500 students who participated in the DCPS summer programming, and it has been a very engaging and exceptional summer of learning for our DCPS students. And here are a couple of examples to call out. First, we've had our arts integrated literacy and math instruction through our Summer Arts Learning Academy. We've also had an opportunity for students to explore DC's history, culture, and vibrant neighborhoods. Over 750 of our multilingual learners had an opportunity to participate in this exploration. And then on top of that, we've had rock climbing, swimming, hiking, kayaking as part of our outdoor learning pursuits. I actually had an opportunity to participate in rock climbing this year. And so you can see all of our students are engaged in very meaningful summer learning activities. And in fact, as a part of our outdoor learning pursuit, we have students who spotted a bald eagle during their paddling experience. And then we've had our up-and-coming musicians who are participating in our musician and music exploration camp, which included students being part of our drumming and guitar instruction. And so it's been a great summer for our students to be enriched and also advance academically and socially and emotionally. And then a few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to stop by Elliott Hines' summer enrichment program and saw our middle schoolers interacting with robots, building their own businesses, and designing applications to help with mental health. And so this has, again, been a great summer for our students, and we got an opportunity to stretch the thinking of our scholars and giving them a head start on this upcoming school year. And of course, it's been a great summer for our educators. They've had rich professional development, and it's opportunity for our educators and our students to develop their love for literacy and reading. And we want our students to continue to read these last few days as we have before the school year starts on August 28th. As I mentioned earlier, it's been a great summer, and it's been an opportunity for our students and our families to also unwind, rejuvenate with family and friends, and get ready for the upcoming school year. And we hope that as we get through this last few days or stretch before the school year start, all of our students are preparing and families are preparing to come back. But it also feels great that our educators and our colleagues have been learning together and developing skills around math instruction. That will be a focus for us this school year. And as a part of the updates this evening, you'll get more information on how we are preparing for the upcoming 23-24 school year. We are committed to ensuring that your child has everything they need and you have all the information you need in preparation to begin school on August 28th. As I mentioned earlier, this year we'll have a focus on mathematics, but also we will be digging deeper into creating joyful learning experiences for our students to not only accelerate math, but also to accelerate student success across the board. We will maintain our emphasis on a holistic approach to ensuring that we're meeting all our students' needs and also ensuring that that encompasses what they're doing and excelling academically, but also emotionally and social development as well. DCPS is committed again to creating the best learning environment where students feel loved, challenged, and prepared. And so today's session will give further insight into what to expect for the upcoming school year. So it's now my pleasure to turn it over to the DCPS Chief of Integrity, Cynthia Ruiz, who will provide more information about attendance and enrollment.
Thank you, Chancellor, and good evening, DCPS families. I'm Cynthia Ruiz, the Chief Integrity Officer here at DCPS. And like the Chancellor mentioned, excited here to sort of kick off school year 23-24 and share the attendance and enrollment reminders. If you go on to the next slide. Just really want to highlight and really reiterate some of our attendance requirements and reminders for this school year. As you all know, attendance counts every day, starting with day one. Day one is actually super critical and important for all our students to be there. So just a few reminders: attendance is legally required. Attendance does impact student grades. Attendance does help account for student safety. Attendance rate does help guide school-specific and then our district planning. And in general, if you all have any questions related to the DCPS attendance policy, please don't ever hesitate to click on this particular link or reach out to your school attendance point of contact. They are more than happy to help you navigate any attendance scenario, guidance in terms of excuse, and there to walk you through all of the different scenarios that I know our families navigate day to day. If you go on to the next slide, just really want to make sure that we are supporting you and just the family around the day-to-day routines. These are just some reminders and really best practices for us to kick off the start of the new year. So again, before school starts, set regular routines in terms of eating breakfast at home or at school. Try to leave the house at the same time. After school, set routines for completing work. Ask questions about school and friends, and provide incentives for good attendance, and really just talk about the consequences of missing school on a regular basis. The night before, set a regular bedtime schedule. Prepare students' book bag and lunch and outfit if there's a uniform needed, and then set an alarm for the phone, on your phone, or the alarm clock. Throughout the year, which is just as critical as some of the routines, is having the conversations around expectations and just reinforcing that attendance matters. Our school staff and teachers do a really great job of engaging with our students to remind them, but as you all know, it is a partnership. So really working with our students and families to ensure that we are clear that coming to school every day is the expectation, and that we're working with you all to ensure that you're being supported to do so. Staying informed about our school policies related to excused and unexcused absences. I did mention before our attendance policy. If you haven't reviewed it yet, please do take a look. A lot of really helpful information there as you navigate the school year. For those instances, as we know that you might be absent for a day, please make sure that you're submitting your excuse note within the 5 school days to your attendance point of contact, just to ensure that our records are reflecting what's happening at home. And then lastly, please do your best to plan vacations around some of our breaks, including winter break and spring break, to ensure that your student is not missing any critical school time. And on to the next slide. And just a friendly reminder, if you have not yet re-enrolled or enrolled at DCPS, it's never too late. Please do call either the school specifically or call the DCPS Central team at 202-478-5738. They're more than more than happy to help you navigate enrollment for next school year. Again, it's never too late. Classes do start August 28th, so we have a little bit of time to really get started and really kick off the school year right. And for the next slide and the last slide, I just want to highlight a partnership that we're working with the Department of Healthcare Finance. It's the Medicaid beneficiaries remember to renew. If this is applicable to you, just wanted to share out this reminder. The district restarted this sort of process in April, and we've been partnering with our partner agency to really make sure that our families are aware of this opportunity. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to go online to districtdirect.dc.gov. Or give them a call directly at 202-727-5355. A lot of really helpful information. Again, if this is applicable to you, it is the Medicaid beneficiaries renewal process, which is happening now. It kicked off in April and will be active for the next year or so. Again, any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Happy to answer. And again, welcome back to DCPS. And I'm now turning it to my colleague, Corey.
Thank you, Cynthia. Good evening, everyone. My name is Corey Colgan. I'm the Chief of Teaching and Learning for DC Public Schools, and I am excited to talk to you about our learning foci for the year. So as the Chancellor alluded to, this summer, our leaders, our school leaders and central services leaders came together to launch what we are calling the DREAM. The DREAM stands for the DCPS Road to Equity and Achievement in Math. And this is our multi-year strategic plan to accelerate outcomes and improve experiences with mathematics learning for all of our students. So this summer, we learned together around culturally responsive math instruction. We deepened our knowledge. We had experts, local and national experts, working with us to understand the math research about how students best learn math. We did great planning to prepare to bring this to life in our math classrooms. And we even all took a pledge along with the Chancellor to solidify our commitment to being math people, trying to bring that joy and confidence around learning math to all of ourselves, our educators, and to our students. So on the next slide, we'll take a look at what might this look like for your students with our new focus on math next year. We will hear in a moment from one of my colleagues, Cheryl, about some great new curriculum we have in our early childhood space that is going to really help students get a strong foundation in math in their earliest learning experiences. In K-5, we are bringing new hands-on manipulatives to every single classroom. We are also bringing in, and that will actually be K-12, we are also bringing in financial literacy, which we feel is a great real-world application and critical skill for our students to learn that relies heavily on math. And so we'll be learning about financial literacy in all of our math classrooms. We have a new curricular supplement called Building Fact Fluency, which are fun mini lessons in the K-5 classroom that get students thinking and talking about the math that they can see in the world around them and how it connects to what they're learning about in the classroom. And then in 6-12, you may recall that last year we rolled out a new math curriculum called Illustrative Math. So we'll be continuing to support our teachers and students with that new curriculum. We've had great early feedback that students find it easier to engage and understand the math through this new curriculum. And we've seen much more lively discussions happening in classrooms. So very excited to launch the DREAM and hope you will all join us in becoming math people and supporting your students at home at the very least, feeling positive and excited about their math learning. I also wanted to highlight that we have added new digital citizenship courses for all of our students. As you know, we rely on technology in our classrooms to engage students and enhance their learning experiences. And so one thing that we want to start the year with is digital citizenship lessons for all of our students. We have been working and using Common Sense Education's digital citizenship curriculum. We have some great parent tips for you here on the screen about how you can help reinforce these messages about being safe, responsible, ethical, and respectful digital citizens. And if you go to that QR code or that link, you will see that there are grade level specific resources of how you can reinforce positive digital citizenship at home. And wanted to note that with all of the explosion of new tools and new resources that are available as a result of AI or artificial intelligence, we have a new module added this year to our digital citizenship suite of lessons that talks to students about AI and what are some of the potential benefits and what are some pitfalls and how can they make sure that they are using AI productively and ethically. So I'm now going to actually turn it over to my colleague, Cyrus, who's going to tell us a little more about technology at DCPS.
Thank you, Corey. Good evening, everybody. My name is Cyrus Varani. I'm the Chief of Data and Technology here at DCPS. So how do we access all of that great content my colleague Corey just talked about? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Empowered Learners Initiative. For those of you who recall, DCPS implemented the Empowered Learners Initiatives back in school year 1920. We are excited to continue that commitment in school year 23-24, 3 years later. We are committed to providing our students with a 1-to-1 student-to-device ratio in grades 3 through 12 and a 3-to-1 student-to-device ratio in grades pre-K through 2. We are also in the third year of deploying and refreshing our classroom technologies. Specifically, we are installing smart interactive boards in all of the classrooms. This year would be the third year of this project, and we will be almost 90% done refreshing the classrooms throughout the district. And for the fourth and final year, we will complete that deployment. All of these boards are great, large, much more visible boards compared to some of the technology we see today. And we're super excited about that. And real quick, I've put some pictures of the devices that we will continue to use in our classrooms for school year 23-24. We will introduce the new Lenovo 13W to many of our classrooms in grades 1 through 12. These devices have been rolled out in school year 22-23 to a number of classrooms, but we will expand the usage. The Microsoft Surface Go devices will continue to be used. However, they are in their final year and they will be phased out in the upcoming school year. And our little scholars in pre-K through K will receive the Apple iPads, which is a very versatile tablet and great for our littles to be able to use it effectively for learning. With that, I will pass it on to my colleague, Cheryl, and I will look for your questions about technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyrus, and good evening, everyone. I am Cheryl Olson. I'm the Deputy Chief of DCPS's Early Childhood Division. We have a lot to look forward to in our pre-K classrooms this year, but one of the most exciting new developments that I want to talk to you about for just a minute is that we're introducing a new early childhood math curriculum called Building Blocks. My colleague Corey mentioned this just a moment ago, and we're really excited about this for a few reasons. First, we know that early math learning is really important to children's school success, and that kids who develop a strong foundation in math in early childhood do much better throughout elementary school, not only in math, but also in reading and other subjects. So Building Blocks will help us make sure that all of our students are fully prepared for kindergarten. And we're excited because Building Blocks is aligned with the science of early learning. And what I mean by that is that we know from decades of scientific research that young children learn through play and through hands-on playful activities. Building Blocks is a fun, play-based curriculum that helps teachers to incorporate playful, math-based learning experiences throughout the pre-K day. And Building Blocks is also individualized so that rather than having teachers teach the same lesson to all of their students at the same time, they're able to individualize their teaching to meet each student where they are and to tailor their learning, the teaching activities based on children's interests, based on children's understanding of particular skills. So for some children who might need reinforcement, they can teach individual small group lessons. For children who are ready for more advanced, complex mathematical thinking, they're able to tailor their instruction to children based on the children's individual developmental profiles. And finally, we're really excited about Building Blocks because we know that it works. It's been researched for many, many years, and all of the research has shown that children who participate in this curriculum are more successful in kindergarten and beyond. We can go ahead. All right, so let's talk for just a moment about what learning looks like in the Building Blocks classroom. It looks a lot like play. So I just mentioned the importance of playful learning. Building Blocks really is structured to support this, with children actively engaged in hands-on materials, deep thinking, solving problems, working with teachers, working with their friends to develop their mathematical thinking and understanding. As you'll see here, there's three main components to the program. The first is the classroom setup. So the classroom is set up to promote children's learning through play. Teachers set up learning centers or stations all over the classroom that encourage children to use math concepts like counting, measuring, comparing through their play. And this can happen, for example, in the sand and water tables, in the kitchen area, in the block area, and especially in the hands-on math center. Teachers also lead individual and small group lessons to help children explore and learn specific math concepts. But again, all of these activities are hands-on, playful. So to the children, they're simply playing. They don't realize they're participating in a lesson, but the teachers have very intentionally set up those activities to promote specific math skills and concepts. And finally, in Building Blocks classrooms, we do something called mathematizing the day. This simply means that teachers incorporate math vocabulary words, mathematical thinking, mathematical concepts through the whole day. So during lunchtime, for example, they might encourage children to count the carrots on their plates, to compare the length of the green beans, to compare size or quantity, even to start using addition and subtraction. Similarly, they might talk about matching when they're helping children put on their hats and mittens to go home at the end of the day, or they might sing math songs as they're lining up and getting ready to go outside to the playground or something like that. So again, children may not realize that they're learning math all day long, but they really are. We can go ahead to the next one. And I want to switch gears just a bit. Before I turn it over to my colleague, I want to share some helpful new resources that we have available for pre-K families on our Ready for Pre-K website. We'll put a link to that website in the chat. On this site, I encourage you, if you're an incoming or returning pre-K family, to check out the Pre-K Summer Magazine. You'll see that in the left on this particular slide. This Pre-K Family Magazine includes a lot of helpful information about our pre-K program, what the daily schedule looks like, what the nap expectations are, lunchtime, toileting, all of those kinds of things that I know are of interest to so many pre-K families, and information about what you and your child can expect this year. And it also has some tip sheets. You'll see that in the little image on the right in the purple. And these tip sheets include information about really simple things that you can do with your child at home during your daily routine, as you're making dinner, as you're doing laundry, maybe as you're waiting at the bus stop or taking a walk around the neighborhood or something like that. So simple things you can do to help your child get ready for starting school in just 2 weeks. We can go ahead. And finally, we know that starting pre-K can be a really big transition for our little people and often for their parents as well. So our schools have several activities taking place this month to help your child and to help you become familiar with the school environment in a really supportive, nurturing, gentle way, and to help you as parents start to build a relationship with your child's teacher and other school staff. And these activities include back to school play dates. These often happen on the playground. They give families and children an opportunity to come together, meet school staff, meet other pre-K families, often to take a walk through the pre-K classrooms so children can become familiar with the spaces before the first day of school. And also home visits. Home visits are a really important part of the starting school process. And these are one-on-one opportunities for the teacher, often the teaching aide as well, to visit with families individually. These visits can take place in your home, or they can also take place in another location like a local playground or library, coffee shop, whatever you prefer. And again, these are opportunities to start building relationship with your child's teacher and for the teacher to really learn more about you and your child and your family. If you haven't heard from your school yet about any of these activities, don't worry. You will very, very soon. A lot of these are taking place over the next couple of weeks. And the pre-K home visits in particular are August 28th through the 30th. And as a final reminder, before I turn it over to my colleague, the big day, our first day of pre-K is on Thursday, August 31st, and we can't wait to see your children on that day. I will go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Deetra.
Good evening, everyone. Pre-K sounds really, really exciting, Cheryl. I wish I could be a part of that. It sounds like a lot of fun. My name is Dr. Deetra Bryant-Mallory, and I'm the Senior Deputy Chief of the Student Supports Division here at DCPS. And I am here along with several of our district partners to talk about health tonight. So let's first talk about the Universal Health Certificate. DCPS encourages all families to visit a pediatrician for an annual wellness visit. And during this visit, the medical provider will do something called, they will complete something called the DC Universal Health Certificate. This health certificate allows you as the parent to report your child's physical health to the school. The UHC also reports other important information for us, such as clearance to play sports, medical conditions, allergies, and immunization records that help keep your students safe as well as the community safe during the school day. Our wellness visits are also a great time to ensure that your student is on track with all required vaccinations. And this year, physicians are able to submit the UHC electronically, but the paper form may also still be turned in to your school nurse. So staying up to date with immunizations is the best way to keep your child and the school community safe. All students are expected to be up to date with their immunizations at the start of the school year. But for this year, school year 23-24, students in specific grades will face temporary exclusion beginning on December the 4th if they are not up to date with their required immunizations. Those grade levels are pre-K 3, kindergarten, 7th, and 11th grade. We know that many people are also interested in the status of the COVID vaccine mandate. And City Council did vote to remove that requirement that eligible students in the district serve have the vaccination against COVID-19. So that decision, that requirement has been repealed. So if you have not already done so, we encourage you, every family in DCPS, to schedule that appointment, ensure that your students receive all of their required vaccinations. And if you aren't sure about your child's vaccination status, you can reach out to your primary care provider, or once the school year starts, you may also visit the health suite to look up your child's student health records and see if they are compliant with their immunizations. Next slide. So where can you go to get immunizations? There are many locations across the district, across all 8 wards, where you can get an immunization appointment. In partnership with DC Health, DCPS has their own school-based health centers in 7 of our high schools that are listed here on the screen. And until August the 25th, our school-based health centers are open to any student age 3 and older who may be in need of vaccinations. We encourage you to give them a call to book an appointment. And DC Health also has a great website that's also listed here with fantastic resources on where to get a vaccination appointment if you aren't sure where to go, or if your physician's office is booked. And so with that, I am going to pass the torch to Ms. Laurie from DC Health.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you to my DCPS colleagues for inviting us to speak to you this evening. I'm excited to talk about updates that we're making to our school health services program, specifically the staffing model. So we've heard feedback from our school partners. We've heard feedback from all of our parents as well about some of the barriers in getting a full-time staff person in your school health suite. So in close collaboration with Children's School Services and our school partners, we are making some changes to the staffing model that will ensure that your school health suite has consistent full-time coverage throughout the school year. So we're doing that by incorporating what we're calling a cluster model or team-based care model. So our schools will be grouped into clusters of 4. Those 4 schools may include DCPS schools and both charter schools as well. And that cluster will depend on how close schools are to each other. Each cluster will be staffed by a team of different healthcare personnel, including a registered nurse, a licensed practical nurse, and at least 2 student health technicians. As is the current process now, each cluster will be staffed by a nurse manager who will supervise the staff as well. So this will ensure that your school health suite has consistent full-time coverage throughout the school year. Next slide. And this is an example of one of those clusters. So you'll see these 4 schools are in relative close proximity to each other and contain a mixture of both DCPS and charter schools as well. In terms of responsibilities between the school health technician and the school nurse, student health techs are currently working in a lot of our school health suites now. A lot of the work that they're doing is important to ensuring that your student is healthy during the school day. So they will be able to administer first aid. They'll be able to use our telehealth devices to consult with other members on their team. They're being trained as we speak on how to care for students with asthma and diabetes. They'll be able to administer vision and hearing screenings. And they're also getting trained on how to review immunization records to ensure that your students' health information gets provided back to the school health team as well. And then when we think about the differences between our student health techs and our school nurses, what we find is that the school nurses will really be responsible for caring for those students with complex medical needs. So students who may need specific types of treatments during the school day will ensure that those schools are staffed by a nurse who can provide that, that care that those students need in the school building. And then lastly, we are excited to announce the availability of Narcan in all DCPS schools. So naloxone, as you've heard it, or Narcan, is an opioid reversal agent that can save the life of an individual who is experiencing an opioid overdose. So last school year, the school year before that, we experienced several instances of students who had overdosed on school campuses. So together, DCPS, the Department of Behavioral Health, and DC Health collaborated to ensure that we can make Narcan available in all schools and all DCPS schools specifically. So school health suite staff, school staff, and administration of medication staff all receive training. This training is provided by the Department of Behavioral Health and was approved by the Department of Behavioral Health that ensures that these individuals are trained on how to administer Narcan and also how to respond in the event of an opioid overdose on campus. So thank you, and I will turn it over to Amy now.
Thank you so much, Lori, and good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Maestera, and I'm one of 2 deputy chancellors here at DCPS. It's wonderful to be with you tonight, and I'm going to be sharing some key operational updates as we get ready to start the school year with you. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, as we get ready for this first day of school, we are, of course, really excited to be able to share with you some updates in terms of how we will keep our students nourished and energized. Deputy Chief Olson spoke about carrots and green beans, and our team provides those high quality green beans and carrots, which also nourish our students. So this year, we are excited again to, of course, be offering a free breakfast to all DCPS students. And also we have now 96 of our school communities able to serve free meals, lunch meals under the Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP, which essentially allows for the full school community to have access to free meals. We want to make sure, again, that you're aware of the steps you need to take to make sure that we have all of the information we need to serve you well. And so you'll see on the right-hand side of the slide that we have 3 reminders. First, we want to make sure that you complete a free and reduced meal application, even if your school is one of the schools that meets the criteria for community eligibility. We want to make sure we have the information for you so we can continue to serve you throughout the year. And if for any reason your DCPS school location changes, it just helps us ensure continuity. And then we also want to remind you that we have dietary accommodation forms available for you. If you are new to DCPS, and your child has food allergies or other religious or philosophical considerations, we want to make sure we're made aware so that, again, we can serve you best. And last, we want to leave you with an important web page, which you see here. You can scan this QR code to access all of the information we have available for you related to our meal services. We have a fantastic team that supports this work and is always looking for feedback, input, and continued enhancements. So please do take advantage of the opportunity to review those resources and get engaged with our wonderful team. All right, and on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the many ways that we work to ensure that your students are safe and secure. This is a top priority for us and remains so. We take a multi-pronged approach to this work. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we engage in this work. And I want to start by saying that we work very hard to make sure that as we're working to prevent emergencies, we also ensure that everyone knows what to do if an emergency occurs. And so we do this by creating what we call school emergency response teams, or CERTs, S-E-R-T, for every school. And these individuals are trained specifically to support their school community in the event of any type of emergency. And I want to also share that our contracted guards and our school police are part of this CERT team model. So we work to ensure that everyone who has a role in safety and security is aware, knows what to do, and can best support in the event of an emergency. We also create school-specific emergency response plans, and these plans are drafted in alignment with guidelines from our partners at Homeland Security and Emergency Management, HCEMA. And these plans are updated every year, inclusive of a monthly drill plan. And so you can see here on the right-hand side of the screen some of the examples of the drills that we ensure occur, and that we have a schedule for these drills for every school. We monitor drill completion monthly, and we work to really, again, make sure that everyone knows what they need to do through practice. On the next slide, I want to talk a little bit more about how we work to support our students in being safe, not just in schools, but as they travel to and from our schools. So we have several really innovative initiatives that we work on with multiple partners. Through the support of the mayor and deputy mayor, we engage in a full community approach to this work. First, we have our Safe Passage, Safe Blocks program. And this program essentially provides additional adults to support students along common travel routes within neighborhoods where we need that additional safety and support. So the Safe Passage model brings together community partners from the Metropolitan Police Department, and our school resource officers, again, to provide additional eyes and ears to ensure that our students are safe. We also, as part of that effort, have something that is called Safe Spots. The Safe Spots program is a program which allows for us to identify specific businesses, organizations, and faith-based organizations to identify their location as a place of safety in the case of emergency. So for students and community members who may feel unsafe, the Safe Spots give members a place to go and just be cared for until they can get support. And these safe spots can be identified by this Safe Spot sign that businesses and other organizations place in their windows or public areas. We encourage our students to use these safe spots if they feel threatened or in danger. It's a way for them to avoid confrontation, or again, a place to go if there has been an incident and they need support. And then also we're pleased to be continuing our School Connect micro transit shuttle program. This is, again, another way of us ensuring that we are providing safe passage for children and youth who ride the metro and or need to some transportation to be available rather than walking. There are spots around the neighborhood for pickup and drop off that again provide additional support. And this resource will be available at 32 schools this year. So again, we're super appreciative of the partnership and the focus of the mayor and our many organizations who support this whole city effort to keep our students safe. All right, on the next slide, a little bit more about transportation. I imagine that most of you are familiar with the Kids Ride Free program. Again, another great initiative, which is provided for students across the district to ride the metro. And this, again, remains in place for school year 23-24. A couple of notes here. First, we have made sure that all of our schools have a startup inventory for day one. If you are newly enrolling and need a Kids Ride Free card, please reach out to your school to access that support. And then also just a reminder that if your student has a Kids Ride Free card, the current cards remain active through September 30th. So again, you do not need to pick up a new card. If you already have a card, that card should be active. Of course, if there's a challenge with that, please reach out to your school. We will be replenishing inventories as we always do, so that as of October 1st, the new round of cards will be made available to you and your child. And then last, we also continue to partner with the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, who supports us with providing specialized transportation for students who are eligible. If you have any questions or need support related to specialized transportation for your student, please feel free to reach out. There is a phone number here, and always you can reach out to your school, but we also have the Aussie Parent Resource Center listed. They're a great resource if you have questions or challenges of any type related to specialized transportation. And then just one more reminder on this, that if you if your child has qualified for specialized transportation in the past, but you feel that it is not needed for whatever change of circumstance in terms of transportation, we do ask that you just let us know and let your school know that you are planning to decline transportation. This allows us and Aussie to utilize the transportation staff and resources accordingly. So thank you for your support with that. All right, and to the next slide, I do want to close by sharing that we also have created some additional expectations and supports for our school communities as we begin the new school year. We've created what we're calling expectations for school visitors. And this is really an attempt to make sure that we together focus on keeping our school communities safe and secure, and that we create really comfortable and clear learning environments for our students and staff. So as part of these expectations, we have created goals around supporting teaching and learning and ensuring student and community safety, as I noted. We have created some shared norms around problem solving. If there is a challenge or concern, we want to make sure that our school community members know where to go and how to get support, and that we work together to really resolve incidents in a way that, again, supports our students with continued learning and does not disrupt the learning process. And then also the shared expectations outline prohibited behaviors and consequences, so that if there is an incident, we have set expectations around how we will manage that incident and what tools our school leaders and staff have to ensure that we can come back together, resolve the issues, and again, continue our shared focus around teaching and learning. So you'll be hearing more about those expectations from your school. But we're excited to be able to share those with you this year. Again, we really appreciate your collaboration and support as we work to create safe learning environments for our students. And that is it for me. I will now, with pleasure, turn it back over to Natalie for question and answer.
Thank you so much, Amy. I'm realizing I neglected to officially introduce myself at the beginning. Hi, my name is Natalie Treadgold, and I lead our Family and Community Engagement Division at Central Services. So I'll be elevating a few questions for our panelists to speak to. We've pulled out a few that were especially popular, so we'll try to tackle those first. And I'm actually going to turn it back to you first, Amy. So we've had quite a few families asking what efforts we're making to enhance safety measures at our school for students and staff. So if you could talk about that a bit.
Sure, thank you, Natalie. So I did touch a bit on that in our presentation just now, specifically touching on kind of the infrastructure we create with our emergency response planning efforts, our drills, and then of course the community safety supports. But we also do much more. We work to create a very strong security framework within our schools, and we do this in a couple of ways. One, we have built a very strong partnership with the Metropolitan Police Department over the years. You, I think, heard me mention them earlier as a partner. And of course, we work very closely with the MPD, their school safety division, and really appreciate the support of our school resource officers that MPD provides when we have a need for additional support and follow-up related to an incident. We also have our own experienced team of police officers, so DCPS police officers, and they, along with our contracted guards, are trained to support and collaborate with our school communities to, again, ensure that we are preventing challenges, but also that we're ready to respond appropriately and in a trauma-informed way when there is an incident. And so together we, continue to build out that partnership. It is an active partnership. The school team, security team, and our command center at DCPS are in active and regular conversation and communication with these partners. Additionally, I would say that we partner closely with the Department of General Services, or DGS, to make sure that each summer we're identifying priority work that needs to be completed. That helps us ensure that our schools are secure and that we have the communication systems in place and ready should there be the unfortunate event of an emergency. So that work takes place every summer. It is fully underway right now. The DGS team is working 7 days a week to address these priority areas. And we're, again, very appreciative of their support in making sure we're day one ready. And then I think the other piece I would mention is I spoke about how our teams work together. We also, as part of that work, make sure that our school leaders are fully trained, have all the resources they need at their fingertips to know what steps to take when, should there be an event. We engage with them from spring through the summer to the week before school. In fact, yesterday, we met with our school leaders to remind them of the resources available and the kind of at a glance approach of making sure they have just a clear understanding of what to do when. And last, I would say, in terms of prevention, the most important piece is creating school communities that create a sense of safety and belonging for our students. And we do that work in multiple ways. We have a wonderful school mental health and student support team that actively builds out a framework of trauma-informed care with both students and staff so that we can recognize and respond to challenges, stress, grief, loss, those kinds of impacts that we know are real for our students and our staffs, particularly as we come out of the pandemic, and that we have the right resources in place to provide those supports so that we can address them in the right way and they don't get bigger. So those are just a few of the ways that we work on this. You can see that it is a whole agency, whole city effort, and we're really proud of the systems we have put in place.
Thank you so much, Amy. We'll next turn it, Chancellor Ferebee, I'll ask you to speak to, we've had families that are really excited to come back into schools and start building community again, now that we've kind of come through the pandemic a bit. So if you could speak to some of our policies in place for families to be able to visit or participate in person at schools.
Thank you, Natalie, for that question. So we're excited to welcome families back on August 28th to start the school year. And throughout the school year, we want to create the most welcome environment possible for our students and our families. There are currently no COVID-related restrictions to access to schools. And so while we welcome families back on campuses, we do empower our school leaders to create school-specific guidelines as relates to access to schools. We do encourage families to make appointments if they want to visit classrooms or have direct interaction with teachers and students, as this is the best way for us to minimize interruptions to the school day and maximize learning. If there are safety concerns, again, we do empower our school leaders to make modifications to access to the building or activities or events during the day or after school and in evenings. We do rely, again, a lot on our school leaders to utilize the local context of their school community to set some of those guidelines. But again, we do have an open access policy in terms of families being in the buildings, but we ask them to do so in a very safe and orderly fashion.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. For this next question, I'm going to turn it back to Cynthia Ruiz. Cynthia, we've had a number of questions from parents about the attendance policies, specifically around attendance notifications. Could you speak to if a child is absent at school, but they're attending an activity, they're volunteering, they're on a field trip, and they get a notification? Could you speak to why that might happen and how we try to avoid that?
Sure. And thank you, Natalie. I just want to say thank you for flagging that for me. We've done some deep work this school year to really get feedback from parents around our attendance, in particular, our excuse sort of processes. Just as a reminder, if a student is absent on that day, our system may just automatically send you that notification if a teacher accidentally marked a student, absent, in that morning. What we do work with our teachers and our attendance POCs at the school level is to rectify either later in the day or the next day. To your example around field trips or a volunteer opportunity, again, I do want to apologize if our families are getting those notifications incorrectly. We are working diligently this year to ensure that our teachers get the appropriate training, our attendance point of contacts do the same. I think my push to you all and our ways to collaborate is that if there is an excuse note, that we turn it in as soon as possible. There may be, that day or two in terms of our attendance POCs processing it in the system, but we are working really diligently with our POCs to ensure that our system is updated. So I appreciate the feedback. We'll continue to work with our schools to update the system. And if there's anything more, particular in a school that you want to discuss, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly.
Thank you, Cynthia. Lori, I'm going to tee up a question for you next. As you were sharing about the new Health Suite staffing model, we had a number of questions specific to what school nurses can do versus what teachers can do versus what health technicians can do. So can you talk to things like EpiPens or insulin? What are the things that each of those individuals would do and how we're making sure that students are receiving those necessary services if they need them?
Sure. Thank you, Natalie. So I think that's a great question. So all of the school health suite staff who will be working inside of health suites are trained to administer all medications. So this includes all of the health techs, all of the RNs, all of the LPNs. They will be able to administer EpiPens, insulin. They will be able to do asthma treatments. And then separate from that, outside of the school health suite staff, there are administration of medication trained school staff. And those school staff also receive training to administer medications for students in their building as well. That includes EpiPen and insulin as well.
Thank you so much, Lori. For this next question, I'm going to turn it over to Corey Colgan. Corey, we had a couple of questions about after school opportunities. And so this one specifically, are middle schools going to have after school programs? And if not, is DCPS going to provide parents and students with other options to keep kids involved after school?
Thanks, Natalie, for the question. So parents may know that the majority of our DCPS run after school programming do operate in our elementary schools. We do have some of our education campuses, which have serve middle grades, have after school programming through the DCPS out of school time programming. I will say though that many, if not all of our middle schools do have some partners that come in and provide after school activities for middle school students. And this really ranges from the arts to homework help and that kind of thing. We also have a robust and growing athletics program in our middle schools that many students may choose to participate in. So the best way to know what's happening in your particular middle school, because it does vary a bit from school to school, is to just reach out to the school team there. But clubs are something we are very excited to build upon, especially as a part of our 6th grade academy initiative, which is new this year, where our 6th graders will have the opportunity to work with one team of teachers and get an enhanced level of support and attention in making that transition to middle school. And having exciting clubs and enrichment opportunities is a part of that initiative.
Thank you, Corey. And we are just about at time, and so I want to make sure we have time for the Chancellor to close us out and share a few final announcements. Thank you again to all of our DCPS leaders for sharing, and thank you all for joining and sharing such thoughtful questions. And with that, Chancellor, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to all of our presenters this evening. It's been an honor to share about what we've been doing over the summer, what our students have been experiencing, the way that we're preparing for the upcoming school year. As we close, I do want to provide an important update regarding our boundary study. There is a 2023 boundary and student assignment study underway. This is the result of the council legislation, which requires DC to conduct a comprehensive review of school boundaries and student assignment policies beginning in 2023 and thereafter every 10 years. This is going to be led by the Deputy Mayor of Education, and this study aims to determine what adequate capacity at schools and equitable access to high quality schools currently exists, and to determine if any adjustments need to be made. The Deputy Mayor of Education has formed a 25-member advisory committee made up of parents, community members, and representatives of DC education agencies, including DCPS. And the committee began meeting in March of this year and will continue throughout this year into early 2024. All the meetings of the Student Advisory Committee are public. So we want to ensure that everyone who wants to have access to advisory meetings can join and listen in. The committee will also release a draft recommendation this fall for the public, and the final recommendation is to come forward early in 2024. Any changes that are made as a result of this boundary and feeder study to boundaries or feeder patterns will go into effect no earlier than the 26 school year. On behalf of DME, we encourage everyone to get involved in the boundary study and student assignment. This is an important consideration for how learning will happen and where students will attend school in the upcoming years. The next meeting will be held on September 14th. You can also attend via the virtual town hall scheduled for September 26th and 27th, and there will be additional town halls held in October. Again, resources include recordings of the meetings, and they're available on the website. I'm going to give you that website, and that website is dme.dc.gov/boundaries2023. Again, that's dme.dc.gov/boundaries2023. Again, we encourage families to listen in and to gather more information if they're interested around what's next regarding the boundary study. Lastly, I want to remind families, do not forget to mark your calendars for an important date in September. We will have our back to school block party on Saturday, September the 23rd. Again, that's Saturday, September 23rd at McKinley Tech. We will have food, activities for students and young people, and lots of great resources for families. And we hope to see you there. Again, that's Saturday, September 23rd. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're excited about the beginning of a new exciting school year and want to extend a warm welcome back to school for the entire DCPS family. And we want to see you first day on August 28th. Thank you again for joining this evening.